Okay, everybody, thank you very much for coming along to the 2022 Cooking Challenge. We have a studio audience, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for the studio audience. Now, last time we were in the jungle out in Saitama. Beautiful location.
Thank you.
No bad comments about that. But it's wonderful to be in another jungle, the urban jungle of Tokyo, with a wonderful studio audience. Now, as you all know, to my left here, to your right, is the wonderful Jane from REI. And to my right, to your left, is Jack, the owner of the Alishan Empire. A word or two from you, Jane.
And I would like to introduce Stuart, our MC
Yes.
for the day.
Sorry, yes, my name is Stuart Owens. Lovely to meet you all. Yes, thank you. Always accept applause, of course. Yes, Jane.
Yes, this is the third cooking challenge. It's great to be still doing it, even though it was conceived during what I call the COVID era. It's going to become the COVID era, isn't it? And we were looking for something to do online, and it's quite strange to do a cooking challenge online, because we have no idea what any of the foods taste like. But we're trusting that. And they went really well, and we're doing it again. The idea behind it is to encourage you to imagine what it's like to be a refugee. And refugees have to live off limited rations. They have no choice. And it needs a bit of creativity, and we wanted to see just how creative our supporters can be. And I can assure you, they're great. It's amazing. And each time, we've been so impressed by the dishes that have come in, so I'm looking forward to talking about them today.
Thank you, Jane. Jack.
Okay. I, like all of us, eat 3 times a day, but I take the deepest pleasure in reading about how people, given something they know nothing about, and some of the ingredients we use this year are from left field. The customer says, I don't have a clue, I don't even know how to pronounce it. We've had many a discussion as to how to say quinoa in our prep meetings.
So rude.
But I'm very happy to be here and honored with what the participants have created from stuff they had no idea. So let's get into it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to explain what's in the box. The box that went out to all of our contestants. We need to know what was in that. So first of all, organic sunflower seeds. I will, of course, there we go, thank you. From Alishan Organic. We had organic raisins. Also from Alishan Organic. Next, organic onions.
Grown by Jack.
Grown by Jack. From Alishan Organic. I take lots of pleasure in saying Alishan Organic. If you need any voiceovers, yeah? Okay, go, okay. Shut up and go. Now here's the one we've been having a debate about today. From Wholesome, Japan, kiwi quinoa. Did I say that correctly?
You did say that correctly. And I want to add that quinoa from New Zealand is most distinctive. Quinoa is originally something that came from the Altiplano of Peru and Ecuador. It's a high altitude, incredibly nutritious grain that is really the food of the 21st century. It's been extremely popular all over the world, when up until 20 years ago nobody knew what it was.
And our next ingredient introduction from Wholesome Japan again, organic blackcurrant powder. Boost your everyday, that's now as a logo.
You know, and if I could have, blackcurrant is an incredibly phytonutrient powerful little powder. Meaning it has all kinds of tiny little trace elements that affect the body in positive ways. So it's one of the most healthy things I think that is in here. Certainly gram for gram.
Excellent. And last, of course, but not least in our ingredients list, we have Fermented Tea by Kakurecha. There it is. Yes?
Well, I have something to say on that. If we wanted to talk about something that is on trend right now, fermentation in the Western world is like all over the place, and to have, of course, all tea is fermented. This one is fermented in a much deeper and wider way. So it's an extremely on-trend product.
because of what we've been doing with the cooking challenge, of course being in a, not a lockdown state, but in the COVID state, where we couldn't all get together in the same room and do these wonderful things, we've not actually had or been blessed by the presence of the people who've actually provided these ingredients to us. This is the first for the cooking challenge.
Yeah.
So first of all, I would like to give an introduction and ask for a few brief words from the people who have brought these wonderful gifts to us. So first of all, from Kakurecha, Masako Saito. Could you please come and just explain briefly about your wonderful product? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a fermented tea, original made in Myanmar. It's called lapeso. That is a traditional Myanmar food, but in Japan we don't have it. Tea is only for drinking, but we want to make that fermented tea in Japan because this contains catechin and lactic acid, which is really good for your intestine and your health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Now next, of course, is from Wholesome Japan, John Roxburgh.
Well, thank you very much for having me here for tonight and for this wonderful challenge. It's been a real honour to be providing ingredients for it, and what the participants have done with their ingredients is fabulous. It's beyond my expectations, and hats off to everyone who participated. My ingredients were from New Zealand, quinoa. I'm not sure, it might be the New Zealand pronunciation, but
Southern Hemisphere.
It just goes on and on and on.
and also black currant powder. Jack's alluded to the wonderful health properties of both of these. These products come directly from the growers, so you can really feel their heart and soul in these products, and I'm delighted to be representing them here in Japan tonight. So thank you very much for having us here, and I'm sure the producers are going to love to see your recipes and maybe share it on their Instagram and everything else in the future. So thanks once again.
Thank you very much, Ron. Terrific.
Can I just say something about the products, because we love that the fermented tea has links with Myanmar and is a product that relates to, we found projects there. And we got in contact with Don because we are on an online platform called Support for Good, which I recommend you go to. And that's a great online platform. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Jane. So, of course, as you all know, the contestants use these ingredients to come up with their own original creations. But we do have winners in this cooking challenge. We have 3 categories. We have the minimum waste category, and for winning that particular category, you get powdered green tea and powdered hojicha tea, a tea set from Kakurecha. Another category is the best presentation. You get 130 kilogram bag of brown rice from Southern Gem. And the best overall will win an afternoon tea for 2 people at the Western Yokohama from the Western Yokohama. We've been giving these entries special names, all to do with empowerment. And the first one up off the rank is empowerment, entry number 2.
Now we don't know we don't know who's done these recipes, so we're just going to talk about them as we see them, and it's quite exciting actually. So the first one, empowerment, is a soup. And this was quite interesting, Jack. I thought the participant went through quite a lot of processes to get there. And I actually think this participant would be the first person to be ready for displacement, because this person is ready to use less ingredients than we gave them.
I think that means less is more.
Yes.
I often talk non-stop on food, but I wanted to just make a minor acknowledgement that Empowerment wrote the most impressive one-pager with a level of humor, puns, and reflections on themselves that made reading it more like an essay than a recipe, which is quite okay. I mean, food is much more than just food, as we all know.
And the photos show how actually thinking about the display as well. A lot of music in this. I hope that music was going on in the background. But one thing that I thought about this was it shows the cook is really thinking about family. And throughout this, there was emphasis on the foods suiting the family. And that's what refugees have to think about, because they have the challenge of feeding families with so little and keeping them happy with so little and keeping them well nourished too. So the family feeling that came through in this, I liked.
I find the act of sharing food to be one of the defining aspects of humanity, that we always feel better after sharing food with someone else. And the refugee who has lost everything may only have the two people they made it out with. So it's I know we're all cooking and we're at home and we have all our familiar surroundings. I'm just reminded of as this person wrote, well, I imagine what it's like to run out of water and how to make a meal to share with your family, whether we're talking about the cleanliness of the act or just the ingredients. You need water to boil the quinoa. Where are you going to get it? So it really, reading these notes brings one back to base reality, what we need to survive.
And he mentions that, or she, don't take running water for granted.
Yeah. No.
Because we are fortunate to have that.
But on all this seriousness, they wrote in the most amusing.
Yes, yeah, no, it's very entertaining and you know, some wonderful references to going even as far back as the Isle of Wight Pop Festival. How many people here remember that?
Isle of Wight Pop Festival.
Only us two, probably.
Yeah, Tiny Tim, I mean, really. Yes, none of you know what we're talking about. We probably should go on and leave it. Right,
Yeah, Tiny Tim, you've probably heard that. Yeah, yes. Yes. See,
Maybe this person is older than we think.
Okay,
but the person did
I think
enjoy
we can
enjoy the challenge very much, and,
No.
and put a lot of effort into it.
Very much so.
A lot of fun and entertainment into it.
let's move along to the next entry. This is entry number 3, and this is called Community.
Each of the participants writes their thought process as they went through it. And this person acknowledged, I don't have a clue what these foods are. You know, that fermented tea that's not for making tea, but for cooking with. I mean, how many of us have cooked with black tea before? This is one of the things that took away. Their recipe, of course, is the wonderful default of taking your grain, boiling it, softening it, mixing it with other flavors and having a cold salad, which is going to be incredibly more nutritious than having a green salad. So I'd say that would be an interesting thing, is to come up with a light nutritional analysis of what we've given the people. Next year, I want to do that.
Good on protein.
Yeah.
Yes, this participant actually said that the ingredients were really mysterious to me. But she went for the simplest combination and clearer taste. Like many, thanks us for introducing the blackcurrant powder, and which points out it was delicious in the dressing. But several times throughout this, an environmental consideration, using the least amount of energy and making the least amount of waste. And the resulting dish they enjoyed, and she says, or he says, I confess I wasn't expecting to. So that's nice surprise there.
Talk about confidence.
Yeah. So good. And with considering balance, looking at the pictures, added the green, which I don't know that we should allow that really. It's an extra ingredient to garnish it with. But using the beetroot as a contrast on that very nice wooden plate.
Moving on to contestant number 5. This one is called Training.
And this is breakfast. This is breakfast from the ingredients. And there wasn't any explanation with it except what the dishes were.
So there is none.
But a very beautiful drink. Again, this magic blackcurrant powder has come through. So that was a coconut smoothie.
With coconut milk, yes.
Blackcurrant powder, yes.
And sunflower seeds, yeah.
So, when you said this is breakfast, I was earlier looking at it and I was saying, well, Jack, that's just your default because, you know, you usually have oatmeal or some sort of porridge or okayu in the morning. That I suspect that a refugee does not get into, oh God, this is a morning. No, I'll give a pass on that. That I think a refreshing drink, a satisfying carbohydrate, and couscous scramble are I can do those breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But I also, like you said, oh, this is breakfast. You know?
Well, that's what it was called, isn't it? So that's why we took it as breakfast. And the porridge.
Man, I always do a hot breakfast,
It's
even
king.
in summer.
Well, this might be hot.
Yeah, oh, it can swing either way.
It's the bitter onion, quinoa, and sunflower seed scramble. Just not scrambled eggs, so that's what the breakfast thing. And the porridge with raisins. I mean, I don't know how many of you have had porridge, Scottish porridge with oats. It's great with raisins, so
It is.
that's what we've done here. The participants done here. And
But as you
coconut
both said, though, it can be done either hot or cold, both the porridge and the scramble.
Yep. So that's a hearty breakfast start to the day.
Served with green tea. Moving on to the next, it's entitled Awareness, and it's a seafood paella
In a paella dish.
in a paella dish. Okay, then, so Jane, would you like to kick that off?
This is an excellent, simple one-dish meal, and that's what paella is, isn't it? So, particularly emphasis on it being prepared on the oven top, and therefore not requiring an oven, which the participant mentions. And we'll be talking about inspiration gradually throughout the recipes, but this one is memories from mother. And that comes up a lot. And obviously that we find in the camps too. People are remembering relatives. And we asked, some years back, we asked beneficiaries in the projects to send their favourite, or their recipes that meant something for them and brought back memories for them. So that's exactly the same as we're getting here. Those memories and family memories, cultural memories that come with food are very comforting. And this participant said that this was a dish that her mother used to make, and she always just treasures that, and she wants to give it to her children now.
I could only second you on that one, that I think, especially for a refugee who's had to leave their home and their homeland and all their stuff, that one of the few things they have is memories and memories of food, and if they can create a memory that smells or tastes like that, it softens the blow. And so I think you could see with all of us who are living life with plenty here in Tokyo, pausing, we realize I want to channel my mother's dish, or the thing my grandmother did, or what I used to have with a friend. It's a powerful calmer downer.
And also like being an expat as well. I mean, okay, we're here in the land of plenty, and you know, I've been here for a very, very long time, but I find myself really quite regularly wanting to recreate things that my grandmother and my mother and so on used to make for me. So I can imagine if you're a displaced person, we chose to displace ourselves, if you like, to move ourselves. But if you're actually forcibly removed from your environments, you also really, you know, you need this kind of connection to where you've come from. So I think this is a really, really very clever, very important point that has been made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our next contestant is contestant number 8. The title is Opportunities.
I would call it a terrine.
A terrine. Ooh. Yes, I call that a
Yeah, I
terrine.
thought that was visually one of the nicest looking dishes, or at least it's a very good photograph. But no, it's, I think it's very good looking. And one of the things that in reading about it, that dish and the person's experience of making it was the absence of any vinegar or sugar. And I realized two such small ingredients interrupting or forcing them to be more creative. Vinegar and sugar are essential across all cuisines. And this person had to navigate without those, which is what a refugee has to do continuously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so without those, she called the chutney a virgin chutney.
I thought that was a very creative name. Yes.
So he's made a chutney virgin, which is onion, raisin and blackcurrant powder, but without vinegar and sugar, an emphasis on that. And the next line is an oily net, which is a vinaigrette without vinegar. So really trying to, and then using the blackcurrant powder, which many people mention for the tang. And the extra ingredient in this one was mackerel, which surprised me. I don't know why, but it surprised me. And not only is the loaf is very clear what that is, but the photo of the ingredients on the stove, I thought was quite active and looks like going through the system and the procedure.
So it takes me back to the first cooking challenge we did. We were in the Edition Hotel, I do believe, in Toronto, and we got a tour in the kitchen, and we saw the chef actually making one of the dishes there live too. That kind of thing is, yeah, really welcome addition to the presentation indeed. Moving on to our next entry number 9, dignity. Okay, so first of all, we had a simple soup with quinoa, onions and tomatoes, a mosaic salad with, once again with quinoa, and finally a Moroccan-style onion steak. Very, very eclectic combination. But these are 3 appetizers for 3 different wine tasting, which is a rather interesting concept. Jack?
I would like to point out that actually of these 3 dishes the first one is from Sicily, the second one is a Georgian salad, and the last one is Moroccan. I am most impressed. This person has put together a full meal out of our little box of stuff. Different flavors, some of them going more cold and salad, others going hot. I think it's a visually and creatively, I'd like to go to their restaurant.
It was a really round-the-world adventure, wasn't it? It was great. And it was also an alcoholic adventure too, because the participant actually started off with a hangover and decided that this was the day she could be creative, or he could be creative. So excellent. And the Georgian salad was interesting because then pairing it with Georgia, a Georgian wine, and Georgia is one of the oldest wine producing regions in the world. It has a very interesting history, which has got nothing to do with our competition, but anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Although at the moment Georgia is a destination for refugees from the Ukrainian-Russian war, so that's all.
It has a lot of relevance.
It has a lot of relevance, yeah,
right.
very much so.
Yes. Yeah. And the photos are just great. I mean, what we call in the trade mise en place. Does anyone know what mise en place is?
She taught me years ago.
And you've forgotten?
Got all your ingredients, all your ingredients there ready, so put in place. And these photos just show that in the extreme, actually. I mean, just beautifully ready and prepared. I'd like to be as well prepared with that when I cook. And then
she's a professional.
And then I was. And then the lovely presentations using the slate. I thought that was all very, very nice.
Very nice indeed.
And interesting that tea, the fermented tea, replaced walnuts in a dish. Now, who would have thought that? And I had another comment. Oh yes, the use of the onion, making a steak of an onion. We just think onion, you chop it up and you shove it into the dish. It's the base of all dishes. But to actually use the onion, that will come up again, won't it, as the base of the dish. And that picture on the slate of that decorated with the Moroccan style dressing. Yeah.
To me, it looks better than a filet mignon.
Well, it is to a vegetarian, that's very true.
Very much so.
That's the deal.
So quite an adventure, that one. I hope the hangover is better.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yes. Moving on to entry number 11, titled Self-Sufficient.
This
And
is a
let's
sweet and
start with-
savoury, wasn't it?
Okay. My comment on this
Sweet and
is that they came up with two dishes that visually look very similar, as you can see from the photo, but are the opposite ends of the food spectrum, which is essential to have in one meal. Some people want to go down the sweet lane and others want to go down the savory one, and this hits it with the same ingredients coming up two different ways. Everyone's happy at the end of a meal like this. And they also, as their extra ingredient, chose apples. Now, when I think about, well, what is a refugee going to do and what things are they going to find? Not that they're going to go down the street and get applesauce or tinned apples from the local bodega, but they probably, everywhere in the world, there is some sweet fruit or sweet thing, since it's the driving force for all, food acquisition. So I want some sweet, I want some salt, I want some oil.
And it's all based on two, right? Everything has to be balanced. So you've got yin and yang. So it starts off with yin and yang, sweet and savoury. The savoury is an interesting word because often when I use the word savoury in Japan, people don't know what it means. And it's now become umami, I think. It's the best way to say that. And then red and green. But one to say there's always two ways of looking at everything. And that if there's no good, we don't experience bad. It's very philosophical.
No, you said that backwards. If there was no bad, you cannot know the experience.
No, this is...
No, they're backwards. I believe in normal meditation teacher.
I think there's no, if there's no bad, you don't believe good. So, put that into a refugee situation. They know bad. There's definitely, they know bad. And from the programs that we support, they definitely enjoy and experience the good.
Yes, eventually, yeah.
From the projects.
Brilliant.
So that's what I wanted to bring out of this contribution. Very
terrific.
interesting.
Moving on to our next entry, it's entry number 12, and it's titled Rebuilding. Organic onions stuffed with quinoa, followed by quinoa granola cheesecake.
And that is a surprise. Of course, the rules of the game are we give you a box and you can add one item. And people choose everything from canned mackerel to milk. But here, they found a cheesecake in a tin can. I was quite astounded. I didn't know that existed. I'm sure it does not exist in most places where there are refugees, but that's neither here nor there. Quinoa granola with cheesecake. It looks beautiful. I hope to find it in my local natural food store. But it was an amazing choice. And the other dish they did was also, I was surprised that we hadn't seen this already. Classic, take an onion and stuff it with something in the same way that you like stuff a green pepper and put it in the oven. Very tasty. I'd go for it in an instant.
Yeah, using the food as a cup or a dish. I always think that's a nice
that's one
way
way to
to
limit
serve
packaging.
foods. Yeah, it helps with the washing up, doesn't it? Yeah. Again, very worried about the blackcurrant powder, but when they mixed it in, it tasted good. So decided to use half and half. Troubled by the restrictions on ingredients. If the refugees were also creative under such restrictions, I wonder on earth how they manage. And how, this participant was saying, how could I grumble about what I got? And what an interesting challenge it was. And making the most of shapes of food was the emphasis here, and considering an environment without equipment, without an oven, without much of a stove top. And the average refugee doesn't have a stove top, doesn't have a kettle.
Well, it was
Quite
just this
spoiled.
when you remarked about making the onion your dish, because I reminded you that one of the support activities that REI does is when refugees are maybe leaving the camp and going back to their homeland, that I think you give them a sheet, maybe a metal bucket or dish or a cook stove. I recall this from a few years ago, not a cook stove, a pot. Because of course, most people when you get home have nothing, and how do you cook if you don't have a vessel? It's almost a defining thing of civilization, having a vessel to store food or process food, because of course humans do best with cooked food. Ignoring raw food aficionados, just the general rule is cooked food is the way we make food safer, more nutritious, more digestible.
Yes,
So-
it was a returnee project that we funded, and part of the returnee kit was cooking pots, but seeds, and the seeds they planted and then produced food for themselves, and they sold the food, and they had the pots that they could cook the food in. So the impact and the continuing impact was very valuable.
A simple small packet of seeds is, I guess it's a variation on teach a man to fish and he can live forever, is give someone a packet of seeds and they're good for the next year or the next season.
Mm. The next entry is number 13, Rediscover. It is zero waste oven fried croquet.
I was quite impressed. One, this person truly did achieve zero waste on their meal, as you'll see. And two, it was one of the, the first of this list that added a can of beans. It will happen on number 15 too. But they added chickpeas. Chickpeas happen to be the one bean I can say in about 7 different languages, but it is ubiquitous in all cuisines from Japan through Southeast Asia, Middle East, and onward into Spain, Italy. It's a great bean to cook with, visually, because it holds its shape and it's nice and round. But more, what inspired me, or what I got off on this person's recipe, was they again were channeling we wanted to do two things, stickiness and sweetness.
Oh yeah, I picked that up too.
Those, and now they talk of these as textures, but they're two different things they're not taste or sweetnesses, but stickiness is how things feel in the mouth. And I think we all know enough that every culture, some cultures go for crunchiness and others go for soft stickiness, like white bread in Japan. But it's true.
Absolutely.
It is true, yeah.
Right. And they also paired sweetness with bitterness. Bitterness being a flavor that we are trained to dislike. At childhood, bitter is absolutely unacceptable from day one. We grow to enjoy it as we grow to understand our food more. I was in a seminar on just that subject last week. That's why I'm talking about
That's why you're talking about it now. You've now got this
And
new
maybe I'm talking
knowledge.
about what's new.
But it's true, because when you're a child, your grandfather gives you a sip of beer or something, it's bitter.
Yeah.
You reject it, and then you get to our age, and
Yeah.
it's the first thing you want when you wake up in the morning. No, not exactly in the morning, but yes, it's one of your staples in your diet. Right? Yes, bitter, yeah. We're not trained to, we have to train ourselves to like bitter.
Yeah, talking about the sweetness of the raisins matching the bitterness of the fermented tea. So yeah, I was able to achieve a deep flavour with just salt and pepper as a result of that. Composting, right? So no waste, and showing what bit went into the compost.
I thought they ended up taking the onion skins and processing them.
I was just going to comment on that because
Oh my God! I stole your
because
mention the compost.
because I do compost, but I put the onion skins into the compost too. But this person used the skins in the paste and in the food processor, so definitely minimum waste. Very commendable.
Now, I want to add that at Auchan Cafe, most of the carrot peelings, cabochon peelings, all end up in a
Stock.
you can do the stock, but no. Lately they've taken to adding a vinaigrette and making a salad with
Oh, great.
the
Very good.
skins, or taking a bit of the pumpkin inside of the kabocha and smashing the two together and serving it.
Take heed of them.
I mean, instead of ham in your potato salad, you could put kabocha skin. It's all
Okay.
just a little flex.
Okay.
Okay, enough of this.
Right.
No, but that's a very interesting point. How do you make it
Yeah.
so like soft as ham would be
Well,
inside?
you boil them. And
They
you
don't,
do it
dis-
afterwards.
disintegrate.
Well, it's a little bit crunchy. You know, this is where we talk about softness versus hardness.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be into crunch when you go natural.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Crunch when you go.
let's get back to the
We can make a
program.
T-shirt. Get into crunch when you go
Yeah.
natural. Yeah. Next, we're moving along to number 14, which is recover, and this is
Fake brigadeiro.
fake
Sorry
brigadeiro.
if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Mm.
Um,
Brigadeiro or
14,
brigadeiro.
beautifully presented in a little truck.
Little, not Lego. It's a little children's toys truck.
Little truck, I said, sorry.
No, no.
Oh, that's Lego in the background.
Yes, that's what I thought. No, it's a bit too big to be Lego, maybe. Duplo.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Oh!
yeah, it shows that they don't have any kids.
Oh, I do. Yeah, but she's 25. I mean,
Yeah, okay, well,
she's hardly playing with this.
she could be creative. Yes.
Yes, yeah. Oh. Thank you very much for the clarification on that.
This used the extra item was feijoada, which I had no idea it was, so I looked it up, and it's black bean stew, which is lovely. So this is from a mum, and all her inspiration comes from being a mum and thinking and caring of her little boy. And so that's hence the presentation. This is all about caring and thinking of your family and doing the best for your child. And again, it comes from wanting to eat familiar foods. And, you know, there's a lot of cultural relevance throughout this dish. And as we talked about earlier, especially when you're away from your home culture, all very much tied in with the refugee experience.
Next is number 15. It's called integration. Takikomi gohan fu quinoa.
I think one of the things that this person, again, had pointed out, I have never cooked quinoa. I have no idea how to cook quinoa. But in the end, the dish came out perfect. Everybody in my family loved it. Which is just a thing of don't worry when you lose the instructions. Just boil it and see what happens. And when you're dealing with a hard seed like quinoa or a hard grain, boiling is definitely what you want to do. Or we did have one person who ground.
We haven't got there yet.
Oh, we haven't gotten to that one. Wow, I'm so excited. Wondering what happened to it.
Well, something to look forward to, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, this person just started washing the quinoa, cutting the onions, and boiling it all together. Adding the clam certainly was a way to boost the protein.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know the name Takikomi Gohan, but I know what it is when I looked it up, but I just didn't know how to name. And it's particularly appropriate for autumn because it's very much an autumn dish because the autumn vegetables and so on go in with it very well. So it was just happened to be a great seasonal timing too, which again is. I don't think it affects refugees, I have to say. Seasons, because the food rations are the same all year round. But yes, facing a challenge. This was definitely about facing a challenge. And as you said, the family. I love the comment. The fizzing pop in my mouth won't stop.
Yeah.
The fizzing pop in my mouth won't stop. The fizzing pop is caused by? Do we kind of know
I'm not sure. Maybe the blackcurrant.
Yeah, because it adds a tang, of course. So the tanginess would be the
I
pop.
don't think this person used black currants.
I know. That's correct.
Alright, so let's
actually, it
forget
doesn't
that
say
comment then.
yes. Yes, you're right, Don. Yeah, can't think what it is then.
So the pop remains a mystery, and we can
Maybe
find out.
Maybe the canned clams were off.
So the popping sensation will remain a mystery because this person was not using blackcurrant as an ingredient. But still, it's a very interesting sensation. Takikomi gohan. The next one is item number 17. It's called contributions. It's a
Cookies.
salad, cookies,
And tea.
salad and cookies and tea. Yeah.
And this also is an inspiration from home and memories, and in this case, from a country that's produced a lot of refugees. In fact, at one time, the most refugees in the world from Syria. And again, going back to what is something important to the family and important to the culture. And actually comments on that, because what can you do to contribute? You do what you can do well. And this person is good at cooking. So a great way to feel you're part of something, you're part of a group of people. And making 3 dishes out of this shows creativeness in using the ingredients in different ways. So you've got the salad, which is your main meal, and then you've got cookies too, which you can have afterwards, you can have later with tea, which is there, you can wait for the family. So a creative way of extending the ingredients to several dishes, and beautifully presented here with the mats combining the dishes there. Nicely presented.
Very much so.
Oh, I wanted to say that it was the recipe that today I said, hold it, that's my lunch, I love it. A salad, a cookie with hot tea at the end is basically my midday meal. So I hope to find this somewhere.
And I was very interested that the hot water softened the quinoa enough to mix with the sunflower, the seeds and the raisin, to actually get it to hold together, and they look great.
Yes, and they I wondered
Very
that
well
too. I said,
done.
how
Yeah.
are they getting...
Yeah, very good. So, quite right in saying they're good at cooking.
Absolutely gorgeous looking dish. The next entry is number 18, protection. It is a quinoa kichiri and a quinoa rotlo. It takes, what, 3 to 4 hours to make?
This was amazing. I mean, the amount of work that went into this and the hours in the kitchen is a great credit to the REI event. And this is the one you referred to about grinding the quinoa.
Right.
Actually commenting on how long it took, and yeah, that's a labour of love, I would say. Very well done.
I was struck by that this person, I think, was able to effectively channel the, when you've lost everything, you try to regain something from your past. That she was very much cooking foods she knew, trying to recreate dishes she knew with the ingredients she was faced with. And that it all comes back to your family, it goes back to what you're used to, then those 2 things will yield comfort, and comfort is in short supply when you've lost everything else. So, I think she did an incredible 4 different dishes. I mean, basically a carbohydrate, 2 different filling dishes of carbohydrate, and then 2 different types of drinks using the blackcurrant powder and the tea, or just making a sherbet. Now, I'm pretty sure that one of the things in short supply with the refugee is refrigeration, so probably the ice cold blackcurrant sherbet will not be done in any refugee camp. But that doesn't negate what was a very impressive collection.
Simple but effective, though, the blackcurrant sherbet. I thought that was just very straightforward. But yes, an extension of how to use that to make this, and that you've seen in your pictures, is very resourceful in making it extend to that many dishes. And you're right, the inspiration is cultural, it's memories, and an impressive presentation of how to make your food go a long way.
Now on to our last entry for today. It's number 19, titled Future, and it's a quinoa parfait.
And I want to say that it's the last one just by chance, but I think it's a perfect ending dessert for a range of meals. And I think I can say with assurance that everyone in the world enjoys dessert. The ending of a meal, the sort of moving from savory and all those other things into something sweet. So it's incredible to take your boiled parfait and mixing in some fruit and powders to make a dessert. And every meal should end with a dessert. So I like it.
Mm.
And a lot of thought gone into this, and in fact it's actually a dish that evolved. And talking about it and starting out on it, trying to imagine what someone in a situation full of uncertainty must feel like and how to make them feel more at home, and decided to recreate a birthday celebration. I mean, it's amazing when you go around the camps and see how much effort people will put into birthdays, weddings as well. Always impresses me, even in a refugee camp. So the birthday celebration is a very special time. And talking about how this person started the dish and was going to make a pie crust, but it ended up being a lovely crumble, and then mixing it into something else, and finally something completely different came out, is what is written here. And thinking about the refugees and how much we all take things for granted, access to food, water, energy, and all that we take for granted. And this last comment, I think, is probably, as it turns out, an interesting one to close on. It's unfair to for people to suffer just because they were born in some regions at some period of time by chance. I think we'll all agree, weren't we lucky to be born where we were? But not all of us can say that.
That is true.
So, yes, even sweetening an onion to make a dessert. That's also quite a sweet vegetable, actually. Why not?
If I were to make a comment on onions, it is close to the most pervasive vegetable used in all cuisines. Onions are everywhere. And for certain cultures, the price of onions is what food riots may be in a heavy bread. What bread riots are in some places, onion riots are what happen in other places. It's essential to so many cuisines. There are more calories in potato, but onions are important.
They can be very versatile, as we just found out here. They can be a dessert, used in a dessert, or they can be part of a main dish. They can be a bowl as well.
Yes.
One of the creations we had earlier was a natural bowl, no waste at all. Our contributions today have been fantastic, a lot of creativity. Let's give a big round of applause to all of our contributors, some of whom are here in the audience, some of whom are not. We'll be watching the stream online. We'll be back in a moment with the presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for waiting. Drum roll. Now is the time for the awarding of the prizes. As we said before, we have 3 categories: minimum waste, best presentation, and best overall. We have our distinguished panel of judges here: Masako, Don, and Jack. Now, Masako, if I could get you to give your award-winning entry and a bit of an appraisal on that for the minimum waste category.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was really hard to decide because all of them look so good, and behind the dishes they have a great theory and a love to the family. But we have to decide, and actually I had 3 candidates. The time consuming, and then plus that fermented tea, all of them used, and then made the 3 dishes was that number 18 protection, quinoa khichdi lateral drink. It was amazing. But when I think about that, the refugee camp, it might be a little difficult to cook that, 3 dishes in a camp. And I thought that number 6, awareness paella might be the one. If I were there, I would cook that paella because everything is one dish, so that limited facility can accommodate that dish. But when I think about the award was that minimum waste award. So not only minimum, 0 waste dish was number 13 discovered. That was the I decided that should be number 13 rediscovered is to minimum waste award.
And the winner of the Minimum Waste Award is none other than Miwa Winder. Congratulations to you. You are now the proud owner of a green tea and powdered hojicha set from Kakurecha. And here it is.
Yep.
Let's have a look at that on camera there. So thank you very much, Masako-san, for your wonderful appraisals there. Moving on to the best presentation, Don Roxburgh. You have a huge task ahead of you, I'm sure.
Yes, best presentation. What a hard one to judge because there's quite a number of entries that were really well presented. I narrowed it down to 4 finalists, and the things I was looking for was predominantly the accent of the blackcurrant powder. It comes out with a lovely pink to purple colour, and I was looking for how that was creating an accent within the dish and within the photo. Also, on top of that, I was looking at the actual arrangement of the photograph itself. And the four finalists, I'll name the winner as the last one, but the 4 ones that really stood out for me were number 8, Opportunities, which was the terinu. They had a lovely coloration using the blackcurrant powder in the middle there, and the photography was very nice. I thought that was a wonderful dish that I'd love to eat for my lunch as well. The next one which stood out was number 12, Rebuilding. And this number 12, Rebuilding, had taken a lot of care within with the presentation, also put them into a nice photographs, and the colour of the blackcurrant purple colour was nicely contrasting with yellow in the photos of one, and also the quinoa was very prominent in the other. They had also added some seasonal touches as the Halloween things at the back as well. Not really relevant in the context of a refugee camp, but I thought the creativity was worth some comment. The third potential that I was tossing up with was number 14. What I thought, 14, which is Recover, which was the photography of this dish was stunning. It was her dish or his dish on some toys, and it was eye-catching. It wasn't quite what I was looking for with regards to showing the highlighting the food, but it really showed her love and her inspiration for her son. Her son's name was Dan was mentioned in toy blocks at the end, and I thought I really liked the creativity and the heartfulness I felt coming through that photo. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, the last one and the winner.
So 2 more. Okay.
Number 17, contributions. What I loved about this one was the dish itself was lovely and simple, and also the use of both the tomato and the blackcurrant powder was very delicate, creating a lovely pinkish highlighted dish. and I thought that was just really tastefully done. Also the photography of it laid out on the placemats with the 3 different items there was very tasteful. It looked like it wouldn't be out of place at both a restaurant or on in a refugee camp as well. I can imagine seeing those lovely colours, kind of just adding a little bit of brightness to somebody's day in tough circumstances. So that's what led me to finalise my choice with number 17, contribution. So congratulations to that person and wonderful job.
17 contributions. Dania Al-Kafri, who is in the room this evening. Congratulations. Congratulations. She wins a 30-kilogram bag of brown rice from Southern Gem. And thank you, John Roxburgh from Wholesome, for your wonderful, wonderful appraisals there. Now, finally, moving on to the best overall, we have Jack from Alishan.
Okay, well, it's very easy. Overall, everybody was a winner. It was just incredible. I felt like I was floating above all these recipes, going to one, oh no, this is it, no, that is it. I didn't realize my 2 fellow judges were going to disclose who was in their short list. I'm not going to go that deep, but 2 of the ones that I did give a lot of thought to was number 9, Dignity, that had truly come up with a 3 different countries dish. They did a Sicilian, a Georgian, and a Moroccan dish, which were all capable of standing on their own in a restaurant. I thought that was a great one. And also, let's see, the one that was awarded, so I had to take it off my list. No. I'm not to say that they would have won no matter what, but they were right up there is Rediscover, because appealing to all the different flavors of bitterness, sweetness, stickiness is overall a great meal. What I did, my award for the best overall dish was to number 18, Protection, which was the very much channeling her memories of home, of different Indian cuisines, but making do with ingredients that were not of that cuisine in a native way, and coming up with 2 mains that I both read them and felt they were very filling. And one was an oil-based, and one was more of just a boiled. So it was variety, and then also having a drink, and just for the humor, creating a ice cold sherbet. So my award, which is I think a something that personally, just by chance, the award is something that I especially love. It's a meal that has nothing to do with any of the normal meals we do, because we so often rush through our breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's an afternoon tea. I know that would be a mindful event and a pleasant event, because one will be focused on the food in front of you, which sometimes is a joy.
So the winner of the best overall category for the Cooking Challenge for 2022, Dharati Trivedi Salta, and she's also in the room. So once again, I'd like to thank our fantastic sponsors for their wonderful contributions into making the Cooking Challenge the success that we want it to be. Thank you very much. And also thank you very much to our studio audience.
Don't let your support end here. You can continue to support REI through our donor club. Small monthly contributions will make a significant impact on the lives of people who are in fact like you and like me. Thank you.